Take 6,942. Good evening, everyone. My name is Audrey. I'm stitchywitch42 here on FlossTube and over on Instagram. Recording videos sometimes takes way more effort than they should. It's been that kind of week. I recorded a video last Thursday and deleted it. So nobody ever got to see that one. Then I tried to record another video this morning. And you know how I sometimes have problems with words? Yeah, it was a hot mess. So then I got home from work. Mark was upstairs sleeping. He's doing night paving this week, and I thought maybe I have a little bit of time and I can get a video in. Just got the camera set up, just started talking, and I hear him coming down the stairs, and it's like, life, the universe, and everything seems to be working against me to get this video recorded. But we're going to try again. Maybe I exaggerated a little bit. It's not 6,942 times, but it sure does feel like it. My name is Audrey. This is my channel about cross-stitch, life, the universe, and everything. And yeah, it's been a busy week. Past weekend was Memorial Day. Today is Tuesday, the 30th of May 2023. I don't get extra time off for holidays because of my work schedule. I work Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday. It doesn't matter if there's a holiday in the week or not. I work Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday. It is what it is. So yesterday, Memorial Day, my son Philip came down to help me and his dad do some work around the house because I tell him it's his due diligence that he has to do so that he can inherit this house from us someday. I also tell him it's because I want him to come down so I can torture him and make him work for me. But he loves me, and he comes down and he works for me. So I had a burst of energy and I thought I could do everything yesterday. I am paying for it today. I hurt like a puppy's mother, but I hurt. But what I got accomplished yesterday is I took my laundry room apart and I finally painted the windowsill in there 5 years after I started painting the room. And if you've been with me for any length of time, you may have seen, I think it was my third or fourth video, where I talk about learning how to fly and the fact that I didn't. I'm a Douglas Adams fan, stitchywitch42, Douglas Adams, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Universe. In that book, he talks about if you fall and you don't think about falling, you can fly. Real quick rehash, I was painting my laundry room and I was using a step stool to paint one wall, and I had it all done except for one last little section, and when I finished that last little section, instead of stepping down to get off the step stool, I just stepped back into midair and was thoroughly disappointed that I didn't fly. I did, however, land on the floor, roll in the paint, and end up with paint inside my bra. So yeah, it took me 5 years to get around to doing the windowsill. Even though painting the windowsill, I was standing on flat ground the whole time. It was getting all the stuff out of the way. It was getting the rugs that we have. It's a cement floor. So I have several rugs in there that are layered up just so it's warmer to walk in during the winter, because cement in the winter is really, really cold. But I got the windowsill painted. I took my plants down out of the window, realized one was dead. Not sure how that happened. Or would it be more correct to say I'm not sure how I didn't realize it was dead until I took it down from the windowsill and it just fell off the pot. Oops. But I have a Hoya in there, and I've had this Hoya for many, many years now. And I was thinking it needed to be repotted because I had it in a smaller pot. And the vines on it were draped across the windowsill. And they were very, very bare looking. They have good leaves on them. They have good texture to the leaves. The Hoya's not dead. The other plant was dead. So after watching a video on how a lady wrapped hers around a tower, I asked Mark to make one for me, and I got my Hoya transplanted. It's in a new pot. It's wrapped around the tower, and I like the way it looks much better because doing it that way, it looks fuller. But I also know that since I've transplanted my Hoya, it might be a few more years before it decides to bloom again because they can be cranky that way. Did I say this was a channel about cross stitch? Life, the universe, and everything? So Philip did a bunch of work for me yesterday. I don't know if you remember me ever talking about the Freds, but he cleaned out my whiskey barrel for me, which is where I like to keep goldfish. Remember when we had the fires here a couple years ago in September, and the raccoons got in and ate the last of my fish? It's time for me to put new Freds in the whiskey barrel. And if you don't know who the Freds are just goldfish named after my dad. He was never too pleased with me for naming the goldfish after him. I try to feel bad about it. No, I don't. Yeah. So he came down, did a bunch of work for me. We paid him back by having a really nice turkey dinner made on the smoker out front, and everything was so good. In fact, I just had my dinner tonight, and it was leftover turkey stuffing and country gravy, and oh, yum. Yum. So Mark has left for the evening. He's going to do night paving all week long. I get a chance to try and record this video again. I have a stack of things here that I have been working on that I want to share with you. But before we get into that, because, yeah, you know, me, I'm trying to delay things. Why? I'm babbling, okay? I'm babbling. When I tried to record this video the first time, and it was no good. It was no good at all. So I spent some time going through YouTube Studio, which is where I upload my videos, reading comments from past videos. And I want you to know that every time you leave a comment for me, I read every single one of them. I almost always heart every single one of them, and I also leave a Vulcan hand and a blue heart. That's become my icon signature, I guess we could call it. Even when I visit other people's videos, I always try to leave my Vulcan hand and a blue heart just so that they know I was there. I know how important getting the comments is to me, and I know that other floss tubers have said how much they like getting comments on theirs too. So even if you leave an icon signature, that lets us know that you watched us and that you came to visit. And the reason I'm bringing that up is because while I'm sitting there reading through all my comments, I decided to look at some other areas of YouTube Studio. And one of the things that I pulled up was, lost my word here, the analytics. So I looked at that, and it kind of surprised me that according to my analytics, in the last 28 days, over 28% of the people who watch my videos are not subscribed. So I'm going to ask you to do something that I don't ask of you very often, but please check to see if you're visiting my channel, if you like the content of my channel, that you are subscribed. If you're on your cell phone watching videos, if you're on your laptop watching videos, the link is right down below the video itself, and all you have to do is push a button, and it doesn't cost anything. If you're on your television watching, there's a couple more steps involved. I have a Roku system. So if I'm watching my videos on television, as I do, if I hit the up button, it brings up the timestamp on the screen. If I hit the up button a second time, it goes up one line above that, which shows the title of the video. And if you arrow over to the right, you can see my icon. And if you hit OK on my icon, on the right-hand side of your screen, it brings up a black box. Words. Black box. If you go over to that black box, it gives you two options. Go to channel, or arrow down and hit subscribe. Please, if you like my videos, please check and see that you're subscribed, and please subscribe to me. It does make a difference, and it gets our videos out to other people. It brings them up more often in the YouTube algorithms, and would really help to grow my channel. So, would you like to talk some cross stitch? I have a finish, and I'm kind of excited about it because I'm not keeping this finish. So let me explain first. I've been sharing with you that I have been working on the Nebby Needle, Quirky Tomato, biscornu. Not last Monday, but the Monday before. 24 robbers came knocking at my door. Oh my God. I think I was 6 there. Yeah. Not last Monday, but the Monday before, I got to go up to Anna's house, and I got to meet up with her and Cheryl and Janine, the local clockers. I had finished the stitching on the Quirky Tomato biscornu. I was just stitching the outline that you stitch around a biscornu and finishing that up with the hopes that I would get up there and I would be able to start the process of making the biscornu. So when I got up there and Janine showed up, I asked her, I said, do you know if when I put the interfacing on, do I put it just behind the design, or do I go up to that line of back stitching? Now the reason I asked Janine is because she's the shop owner. She is the owner of Acorns and Threads. There are lots of classes at Acorns and Threads, and I know that Janine is there for a lot of them. She may not be sitting in the room the entire time, but she's there for a lot of the classes. So she has a vast wealth of knowledge. And she didn't know. So she grabbed her phone and she called Jolynn, who does the soft finishing for Acorns and Threads. And she wasn't home. Fine. So I went ahead and I cut my interfacing so that it would be just inside that backstitched line. And sure enough, when Jolynn did call back, that's what she said to do. So if you have never made a biscornu before, the reason I'm telling you this, when you stitch a pattern that's a biscornu, or that you're going to make into a biscornu, anything that is the same on all 4 sides, stitch length, can be made into a biscornu. You then go 3 or 4 rows out from your stitching, and you stitch a line of back stitches all the way around the design, and you do the same thing on the back piece, because that back stitching is what you're going to sew through to put them together. I got my interfacing put on, I started stitching it together, and the class that I took from Jolynn on how to finish biscornu taught me how to either tighten up my stitches or loosen them up a little bit so that my corners would meet up. This is my Nebby Needle Quirky Tomato biscornu. This is the top, this is the bottom, and these are the sides. And this red stitch here was the back stitching. There is back stitching on both the front and the back, and then you sew through that back stitching to sew your sides together. You start with a straight side and a corner in the middle, and then you go to the other. If this is straight with a corner in the middle, and then you end up straight with a corner in the middle, and that's how you end up with an 8-sided figure of a biscornu. I'm sure there are lots of directions on YouTube, or you could Google directions if you've never done one. If you're lucky enough to have a local needle workshop, see if they have classes, because these are really, really easy to put together. So here is my finished Nebby Needle Quirky Tomato biscornu. And on the top I have a resin, well, I'm going to call it a bead, because it has holes on either side of it, whereas a button would have holes that go top to bottom. This one has holes on either side of it. So I used that resin tomato on top of the Quirky Tomato biscornu to just give it a little bit more definition. Now, the reason I said that I'm not going to be keeping this one, if you've been around for a while, you've heard me say that I'm going to Acorns and Threads Pacific Northwest Stitch Summit again this year. I've had so much fun last year when I went. I've been to a couple of different of the fall flings that were the precursors to the Pacific Northwest Stitch Summit, and this year we get to do an exchange. So she is doing both an in-person retreat and an online retreat. Last year we didn't do an exchange because she did in-person and online. This year they came up with a way to include everybody who signs up for the retreat. If you want to be involved in the exchange, stitch your piece, turn it into Acorns and Threads, either in person or mail it to them, letting them know that it's for the Pacific Northwest Stitch Summit exchange, and you will be entered into participating in the exchange. If you make something, you will receive something. It's not required. It's completely optional. But this is what I'm going to be putting in for my piece, because the requirements that they said are that you stitch something that is 60 stitches by 60 stitches or smaller and finish it. It could be a flat fold, it can be a biscornu, it could be anything you want as long as the pattern is 60 by 60. You don't have to add anything else with it. There's not filling it full of candy and adding extra goodies and this, that, or the other thing. It is simply make something that is 60 stitches by 60 stitches or smaller, getting it to Acorns and Threads by whenever their due date is, and if you're signed up for their emails, you'll know what that due date is. And then you can participate in the exchange this year if you're going to the retreat either in person or online. I'm not a spokesperson for Acorns and Threads, I'm just telling you my point of view, but if you're going either in person or online and you end up with a Quirky Tomato biscornu with a resin bead on the top of it. That was made by me. Okay, yeah. So, was that enough to make you subscribe? I ordered a pattern from Acorns and Threads. Brenda Gervais, Pennsylvania Dutch Tomato Pinkeep. Yep, that's what it says. Right. No drinking has been involved in the making of this video. Except for this. I am not sponsored by anyone. Like I said, this was a kit. It came with the fabric. It came with the floss. It came with the felt and the velvet for making it. It came with the little stand to set it on. It came with a piece of paper that just fell to the floor. So I've used the call for fabric, which was a 32 count something or other. And being that the fabric was already cut, and being that the ladies who work up at Acorns and Threads know how to use the calculator to make sure that you have enough linen to stitch your piece on, I shouldn't have had any issues, right? Right? Yeah, come on, tell me, right? I had to add a strip of fabric to one side of my linen so that I could hold it in the Q-snap, because I'm a Q-snap stitcher. I like my scroll frame. I like Q-snaps. I cannot stitch in hand. I can stitch in hand. I don't like it. I like my Q-snaps. I like having my fabric nice and taut. This is where I'm at with my Pennsylvania Dutch Tomato Pinkeep. And as you can see, I have, oh, that much on this side. And on this side, I could possibly get 3 or 4 more stitches in if I had to. And then I run into selvage. So, this is where I'm at. All I have left is the few motifs that go in this area right here, and all the stitching will be done on this. So when I was reading my comments last week, one of the ladies, and I totally loved this idea, she goes, "You know, Audrey, you're retiring in less than a year. Save all those pieces that you finish until you're retired, and then you can finish them all after you've retired." I like that idea. I like that idea a lot. I was going through my Crisio, as the Yo Flies journal that I keep for my stitching, and since the beginning of 2023, I've started 15 projects. I've finished I have to look now. I finished 14 projects, but I've only fully finished 7 of them. Last year, I was on top of it. This year, I'm just like, yeah, I have a finish. I get to give myself stars. There's a lot of blank spaces where there should be stars. Maybe I'm saving them till I'm retired. I don't know. This one might be one that I save till I'm retired, because it's kind of ticked me off. Seriously, I know it was my own fault, but do we blame ourselves? Are we supposed to? Was there an email about that? I don't know. I don't know. Okay. I've lost my pattern. I know that I have shared this one on Instagram. This is Boo by MamaWitchXstitch. This is a pattern that was gifted to me by Anna because she saw it and she immediately thought of me. I wonder why. And this is where I am at with my stitching on it. I picked it up and I finished all the stitching around Granny Wilhelmina. And I've got most of Hector stitched. I don't have his feet stitched down here. May or may not be because I've made a mistake and I'm waiting to get Hortense stitched so I now know how big to make Hector. Yeah. That might be a running theme today. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. But I've been working on the banner around here. I've got the strawberries. I've got the pumpkins stitched. I've got the B and one of the O's, and this right here is the top of Hortense, Hector's wife. This is part of her hair here. So I am stitching on this piece. Now again, this is one that I started in the center of the fabric. And I keep looking at the pattern and I keep wondering if I'm actually going to get them all in there because, well, they should. This is where Hortense is going to be. So Herschel should be about here. But I'm worried that I may have maybe moved it a little bit too far one way or the other. I don't know. It seems to be a thing right now. But this is on a 16 count Bestitchme fabric, Stonehenge. And I love it. I love it. I have a lot of fun with this one when I sit down and play with it. Another one that I'm stitching. And I'm having a lot of fun with it. And it has its issues too. Yeah, I'm going to share those issues because I need some advice from you. Don't feed the trolls. I did a public service announcement a few weeks ago, a couple months ago. Don't feed the trolls. And basically what I mean by that is don't give your personal information out to any scammers for any reason, any way, anyhow. Kim, who is Daisy Joe Designs, Kimberly, watched my PSA and that phrase stuck in her head. And she's an up-and-coming designer. She took that phrase and came up with this pattern. I think it's really stinking cute. Of course, she designed it to be stitched all monochromatically. And I can't do that. I mean, I could, but I'm not. What I did is I chose some Gentle Arts colors, and I know I've talked to you about this before. Here it is, and I love the way it's looking. So the border here is Gentle Arts Brown Bear, and I had started out with 2 skeins of that and ended up buying a 3rd skein because there is a lot of border here. There's an inner border. There's an outer border. I also wanted to use the Brown Bear for the clubs that the trolls are holding. The border is fine. There's an issue with Mama Troll. I may have mentioned that in my last video. I think height-wise I got her okay. I'm not sure if I got her right width-wise, but I'm not sure. Keep that in mind. I think she looks just fine. And I mean, seriously, if you look at a troll, can you tell if they're 1 stitch too tall or 1 stitch too small? You know, you can't. she's fine. It's all fine. It's fine. The issue that I want to ask you about is the other personalization that I made. Don't feed, I haven't finished feed, the troll, and there should be an S here. I had finished stitching Mama Troll, and she's in cobblestones, Gentle Art cobblestone, and I just love the variegation on her. But if you look right above her to those L's, they're one stitch above where they should be. So, I was sitting here looking at it. I still have the S to put in. And I was sitting here looking at it, and I thought, what do I do? And here is where I would like some advice from you. I could unpick the whole 2 L's. Not a lot of stitches, but it's DMC 666 on white linen, and it's going to leave some red fibers behind. So I could repick all the letters, or I could just unpick them from where they widen out down here and just restitch this bottom part, and them being one stitch too high doesn't make a difference. It's the bottom. I could leave it as it is. I thought I could do a straight stitch just under the 2 L's, 1 stitch below them, to emphasize it. What do I do? Because every time I look at it, it's like, what do I want to do? Repick all of it? Unpick all of it? Unpick just the bottom of it? Leave it as it is? Or highlight it? I don't know. So then I ran into another issue on this one. I know the T and the R and the O are where they're supposed to be. I have counted many times after realizing the L's are 1 stitch too high. These are fine. I wanted to stitch Paw Patrol. So I counted down from the T and I started stitching him, and what I did with her is I did the outline of her and then just went in circles, getting smaller and smaller because I don't like stripy and I don't want a striped troll. I started stitching the outline of Paw Patrol and I realized there's a mistake with her. If I stitch Paw Patrol from the T, will his feet match up with her feet and be level? The L's, if they end up staying crooked, they're fine. You know, seriously, that will be fine. But if the trolls aren't all walking on the same level, that's going to bug me. So I took him out. There wasn't too many stitches there. And I went back to working on this inner border here because I want to get it completed underneath her so that I can count how many stitches are, how many spaces they are between the border and her feet, and then come over and start with Paw Patrol's feet at the same height so that they're standing level. And if he's a little bit taller than her, it's okay. But they have to be even at their feet. Tell me what you think about the L's. I have so much fun stitching with this one. I just think it is turning out so good. And if you go over to Instagram, take a look at the hashtags, the hashtag Don't Feed the Trolls SAL. Start along. Right now there's only 3 people who have posted any pictures on there. Kimberly, the designer, Devi Sisk, who is Glitter Dove Fairies on Instagram, and myself. And all 3 of us are doing them very differently. Kimberly's is complete. She stitched hers monochromatically on a beautiful, beautiful linen. Devi has also used a variegated floss for her trolls, but it's more green. And then mine, I'm using all the colors. So please take a chance, go over there and check it out and let me know. Unpick the L's, leave them alone, highlight them. What should I do? All right. When I tried to record this video last Thursday, well, I didn't try, I did record it. You just never saw it. And I was rather frustrated with it. Well, later on that afternoon, I got some mail. I got some happy mail from New Zealand. And I was like, oh my gosh, happy mail from New Zealand. There is a lady, and her name is Kelly. Her name on YouTube is Lover's Song. A couple months ago, I did a giveaway because I had a whole bunch of Silks For You PR168, and I offered up a half a hank to somebody who wanted it. And she won that one. And this is just a luscious, luscious color. This is the floss that I use to stitch my Erica Michaels Blueberry. Blue Strawberry. So she sent me a package. Very nice letter in there. Said she thought the floss was beautiful. She hasn't used it yet. Kelly, if you're watching, use the floss. There is lots of it. Just use the floss. Use it for simple things. Use the floss. But she sent a pattern. And this pattern is gorgeous. And I posted a couple of pictures on Instagram saying that I didn't know what the name of the pattern was because the pattern is in Chinese. This is the pattern. This is gorgeous. But what's it called? Well, yesterday my son was over. He's so darn smart. He goes, Mom, hold the pattern up. And I said, why? What is it you want to see on it? And he goes, just hold the pattern up. And the page that I'd shown him, where's the page that I'd shown him? Oh, it's that one right there. Chinese. Kelly was nice enough to go across the colors. It's all charted in DMC. Thank God for that. It's all charted in DMC, but she had gone across each one and written symbol, strands, type, number. And then she wrote full cross, half cross, French knots, backstitch. Thank you so much, Kelly, for doing that for me. It's making my life easier. Well, kind of, sort of. So he had me hold it up so that he could see the name right there. That, right there. And he had his phone hovered over it, and he comes back and he goes, it's called Haunted Balcony, Mom. How did you do that? He goes, Google Translate. Huh. Blonde. It's natural, yes. My son's so smart. So, this pattern, and I am going to show you just the littlest bit of it. It's a colored pattern. This paper is weird. On the back of it, it feels not like regular paper. It has almost a, I don't want to say furry texture, but it has a texture to it. It's not regular paper. The other side of it is plastic coated. And the pattern's in color. I like black and white patterns. I can look at a black and white pattern and I can read it so easy. Kimberly's pattern, it's all black on a white background. Still easy to count though, but to alter it to figure out where to not stitch so that I have a troll hand going around the club, it's been a battle. Colored patterns. I can read them, I can follow them, but I struggle with them. And this one, because it has full cross, half cross, French knots, and back stitching, it's been a learning process so far because it's not full coverage. What you see stitched is full of a variety of colors, but everything else behind it is negative space. So I decided that I'm going to stitch it on antique white linen. The same piece of fabric that I'm stitching Don't Feed the Trolls on. But looking at this pattern and seeing the color variations, because there's 17, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40... 44 different colors in here. And looking at the colors of the pattern, and then you see the cross stitch over it, so when, or not the cross stitch, you see the back stitch over it. So when you see the back stitch over it, you can't see the color key, but the picture shows a color. It's been a struggle, but I'm doing okay. When I started stitching this, I went upstairs, I grabbed all my floss, and I thought, I can put them on 2 rings. 2 rings will be big enough to hold 44 bobbinated flosses. Yeah, if you don't want to move them, because I'm blonde. So then I thought, okay, I need to come up with something else, a different way to contain my floss. And then I remembered that I have some Bags Plus Floss Buddies. And I went upstairs and I was looking for one and I found this one. This is the very first Bags Plus Floss Buddy that I bought at a fall fling. And I bought it because I absolutely love this fabric. This is just gorgeous and it's so me. And those are all the colors that I'm using, and I had to double up on 3 of them. So 43 colors because I had to double up. But this is working much better than 2 overstuffed rings. Would you like to see what I've got stitched on it so far? This is 4 days worth of stitching for me. And I'm holding it back right now so that you can see the whole thing. I'm going to get it a little bit closer to you in just a moment. This area here had like 11 different colors in it. And like I said, looking on the pattern, seeing yellows next to oranges, next to a lighter yellow, next to a lighter orange, next to a darker orange, with the back stitching over the top of it, I was having a bit of a struggle. It seems like everything I'm stitching on lately has been a bit of a struggle, but you know, it is what it is. So I went ahead and I did all the stitching on this. And then I thought, it's plastic coated, so I can't color it off. Yes, I know I could go make a copy. We have a copier. I could do that. It means going into my husband's office and cleaning his desk off to get to the copier. No. No. So I got all the stitches in there. Or I thought they were all. And then I thought, how do I figure out if I've got all the stitches in? Negative space. So I've been stitching this upside down, and I started with the bottom of this here, and I was matching up where all the negative space was in this little corner here. And I found I missed a couple of colors here. And then I found I missed a couple more over here, and I missed some over there. And I got them all. Then I started doing the back stitching and realized that I had missed a couple more. And it's because of the way the pattern is. I will get through it. Obviously, I got this section done. It's just a struggle. It's just a struggle. But if you look up and you look at it, you can see how it looks with the back stitching. I've got the back stitching done on this section and on this one, but I purposely left it off of this one so that you could see what the colors are like. Now, I'm doing the same thing with the top of the doorway here. I'm doing all the stitches, and I've realized that I've missed a bunch of those, again, because of the color variations on the pattern. I'll get them all in there. But I'm realizing, and this is just, I think there's 4 pages. Four pages on this pattern. 3 pages and then the little bit on the last page. So this is the bottom of the first page here. What I'm learning on this section of the pattern is when to realize that if I see a colored space on the pattern and it's got back stitching over it, to look at it and see what color it's supposed to be and to get all the stitches put in. There's still some missing stitches in here. I'm getting there. But I have not done any of the back stitching yet on this section either. When I get this done, I will do the back stitching on this section. And then I'm going to work on the inside of the door here. And I think I have some more leafy sections on both sides. But I think this pattern is so stinking gorgeous. After Philip found out that the name of this pattern is Halloween Balcony, I may have said Haunted Balcony, it's Halloween Balcony, I did a Google search for Halloween Balcony cross stitch. And she has a whole series of house fronts like this. I'm not stitching a house. I'm stitching a door and a window of a house. Just wanted to point that out. But the designer's name is, go back to my Crisio book, Alena Koshkina, Alena Koshkina. Do a Google search for Halloween Balcony cross-stitch patterns. You will find this one and several others, and they're all gorgeous. Now, Whether or not they're all in Chinese, I have no idea. But if they are, Google Translate works. If you get one, I can help you with the color key because Kelly filled that out for me. Thank you, Kelly. Use the floss. Alrighty then. I think that that is pretty much everything I have to share with you about cross stitch. I have made a decision about work that I think is going to make my life easier. No, I'm not retiring sooner. I still have 333 days left. 330 day and a portion of a day because today was 333. But my work schedule is that on Tuesdays and Wednesdays I work from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. and on Fridays and Saturdays I work from 5 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. And those bookkeeping shifts are really starting to take a toll on me. My body is not aging gracefully. It hurts. It hurts a lot. It hurts a lot today after my day yesterday and all the work that I did, but I'm so tickled with myself. Do you ever do that? Give yourself a pat on the back for getting something done around the house? You should. You really, really should. I don't have the body of a 30-year-old anymore. God, that'd be so nice if I did, but I don't. I'm 64 years old, and there's things that I can't do, or I can't do as well as I used to be able to do. I can't get out and do the garden work that I would like to do, so I had to hire somebody to do that. But when I take a day like yesterday, and I set some goals for myself, and I overdid yesterday. I know I overdid yesterday, but it felt so good to get it done, and I'm paying for it today. But I can look back at yesterday and said, I got my goals done. So if you're having issues, whatever issues you have, if it's a health issue, if it's a physical issue, whatever it is, give yourself a pat on the back when you accomplish something, because we all deserve to give ourselves a pat on the back for doing something that we didn't think that we could, or that we've put off for a while, or whatever. Give yourself a pat on the back. And Kelly, use the floss. Until we meet again, my friends, live long and stitch on. Please, if you found any value in my video at all, if you like visiting with me, please check to make sure that you're subscribed. If not, I'm asking for you to do so. And if you want to leave a comment, I would absolutely love it, even if it's an icon comment like my Vulcan hand and my blue heart. That lets me know that you came and visited with me today, and thank you very much for doing that. So long, everyone. Bye-bye.